It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Latest on the situation at UCLA. It's amazing how quickly, just when we went into the break, Fox News reported that the LAPD retreated from where they were inside the encampment.
Yeah, in fact, Julio Rosas just reported that less than a minute ago on X. He is now, this morning, the national correspondent for The Blaze, and he put out some video there and says he posts, LAPD officers withdrew from inside the UCLA encampment. Protesters followed them very closely, and scuffles broke out. Protesters broke out in celebration. Once the officers left, very intense situation. So that's the latest as of about a minute ago or so from Julio Rosas, again with The Blaze. And seeing the video here, we kind of saw that earlier where the police came in, LAPD came in, and they were moving in one direction, and the students stood in their way, and then they turned around and did a 180. Now, in this case, these officers were in this position for, I don't know, what would you say, 30, 40 minutes that we know of. And then they withdrew from inside. Now Fox and Julio Rosas both reporting that, and you can see the videos here, and it appears to be the case. And the question would be, okay, then what is the plan?
That one of the speculation was, did they go in just to do recognizance to see what's going on inside of it, in order to make a decision of what to do? But it seems really pretty strange. When you go to the, I was just looking here at, hang on, I've got so many windows open that I'm losing track of my windows.
Yeah, and we're using up all the RAM on our very old computers.
But this is law enforcement agencies. Oh, there it is. Okay, this is the latest update here from just a few minutes ago. 9 minutes ago, law enforcement agencies could be seen knocking down the plywood barrier surrounding the UCLA encampment and entering the area around 1:54 a.m. local time after hours of a tense standoff with hundreds of anti-Israeli protesters on the campus. Now, that would have been here just in the last, that would be
20 minutes
16,
or so.
Yeah, 20 minutes. Yeah. Not long after entering the encampment, police appeared to withdraw from the area.
Yeah.
And then the story from 40 minutes ago, anti-Israeli protesters at UCLA have built a wall around their encampment as tensions rise with multiple law enforcement agencies on campus who have been increasing their presence over the past few hours ahead of an anticipated raid. Walls of plywood can be seen surrounding most of the encampment, which was already behind railing, and protesters can be seen standing up above the top of the plywood with strobe lights and Palestinian flags. Fox News correspondent Bill Maluzhin said power drills could be heard throughout the night as protesters continue to fortify the barrier, separating them from multiple agencies, including the Los Angeles Police Department, California Highway Patrol, and the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office. Maluzhin estimated there are hundreds of protesters behind the plywood and hundreds more surrounding the police perimeter. Law enforcement is expected to enter the encampment sometime this morning after multiple calls for the protesters to leave the area. Maluzhin said a police source texted him saying it's about to go down. Well, so far, they went in, apparently knocked down part of the barrier. We're there for, I don't know, anywhere probably between 20 and 40 minutes, I'll say, would be the.
Yeah.
I just don't know the exact time the police were in there. And then they left, and the crowd was cheering. It was like, okay, what's the point in doing this? Look, They should have done what they did at UT Austin and UT Dallas yesterday, which is as soon as it starts going up, you take it down immediately. Now you've put police, they don't know what's behind there. One wonders if that's why they went in. Let's send a small group in to do reconnaissance to see what we're facing when we go in. Now they could do that by drone easily.
Well, I would think so. Maybe at night it makes it more difficult too. There's a lot of trees on this campus, and I don't know what gets in the way of being able to do I'm thinking that the first thing you do is a head count. How much manpower are you going to need here? What's behind those barriers you're about to break down? How many are behind those barriers? And what are they equipped with? What do those individuals have on the other side of the barriers? That's going to create a very dangerous situation for your officers here. In a situation, by the way, that is not what it was 24 hours ago. The pro-Israel protesters have been a very small group, and there has not been a clash, at least since we've been on the air over the last 4 hours or so. And that's very different from what we saw with a violent clash between the two groups yesterday on the UCLA, about this time, a little over 24 hours ago, and throughout the morning hours at UCLA. Well, now, I guess the question would be, all right, what are they equipped with? And that's what I was thinking. Okay, you've got the LAPD has, I don't know how much resources in terms of getting in the air and doing surveillance, but at night, is that going to give you a proper assessment of what's going on there and what they're equipped with? Another thing they're dealing with is that you've got, I don't know how many tents. So what's inside the tents? How many people are inside the tents? What do they have available to them inside these tents that would present a danger to these officers on the ground? And all of this is clearly, I think, mostly unknown right now because you just can't see it.
Around the country, what's happened over the last few hours, anti-Israeli protesters on the campus of Portland State University have occupied the library and refused to negotiate with university officials, reports State. Though the campus will reopen Thursday and ID cards will be required to enter all buildings, the large library will remain closed. Fox 12 in Oregon reported anti-Israeli protesters occupied the building on Monday, and the university was closed Tuesday and Wednesday. Talks eventually broke down between the protesters, administrators, and police. The Portland Police Bureau is actively collaborating with the Portland State University to address the illegal activities at the university's library after a group of protesters departed from a peaceful First Amendment gathering and unlawfully entered the campus building on Monday. The Portland Police Bureau has been working in partnership with city leaders, other municipal bureaus. By the way, this is useless, blah, 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 blah there. I'm sorry, that's what it is.
Yeah, you're right.
You stop it from happening immediately. Otherwise, you've got major problems on your hands, as they're finding out at UCLA. Now, then this from about an hour ago, Governor Sununu applauds quick police response to encampments at Dartmouth and the University of New Hampshire. This is from 11:03 p.m. last night. State police mobilized to support local law enforcement to quickly address the encampments, which violate school policies. Thanks to those who work at UNH and Dartmouth to provide on-the-ground support. Peaceful protests are fine. Breaking the law is not. And by the way, just so you know, because everybody keeps repeating that, we keep repeating, it is you should not rob a bank, but you can go to the ATM and legally use your card.
We want to let everyone know that it wasn't legal. It was legal to walk. While it's legal to walk into the lobby of a bank, it's just nonsense.
Right.
Just nonsense.
The governor applauded local and state response late Wednesday night to the anti-Israeli encampments illegally erected at Dartmouth and the University of New Hampshire. Meanwhile, 90 people were arrested at Dartmouth during the anti-Israel protest at the school on Wednesday. Hanover police confirmed Thursday morning. The department was told ahead of time by Dartmouth Safety and Security that no encampments or tents would be allowed during the protest, but they were put up anyway. Multiple announcements were made by Dartmouth Safety and security. Hanover Police and the New Hampshire State Police to the protesters, telling them to leave. Before the arrest started taking place, he added that while some of the protesters did leave, many stayed. 90 were arrested, included Dartmouth students and some who were not students. They were taken in for multiple offenses, including criminal trespass and resisting arrest. And what I get from the governor, though, they did take down the encampments. Then you have here 30 arrested at Stony Brook University in New York. Another Ivy League school, Penn, places her library on lockdown amid the protests. And those protests have been going on for like 7 days. You stop it immediately is what you do.
Yep. UCLA, remote classes only for Thursday and Friday. I'm guessing that if, they don't get this campus cleared, then that will extend into next week. So, and, so they come in, a little over an hour ago. It was reported that these pro-Hamas protesters were building that barricade, that plywood they were setting up. As you mentioned, Gary, you could hear drills. This is what you've allowed. I mean, this is the longer you let it go on, the more power they gain, the more territory here that they gain, and the harder it's going to be and more dangerous it's going to be for all of the officers involved. And that's where we are. And so the officers come in and they tear down a big part of that barricade. They're there. There's not much of a clash for the 30, 40 minutes that they're in place, and then they back out. And we can only guess. I think you're right. I think it's possible this is reconnaissance to look and see what they're dealing with, because they really don't know. They can't see. And even if they had air power, including drones or helicopters, how much are they going to be able to see at night? What technology is available to them? And are they now rethinking this at the LAPD headquarters, thinking, all right, we'll wait for daylight?
In the last minute, Anthony Cabasa, who's there, current crowd size here, the opposite side of encampment has gotten smaller but still strong. Reports police went into and quickly out of the encampment, which is true, they did. He's only one person. He might not be able to see it from his vantage point. Police might be waiting for the crowd, or maybe waiting the crowd out in hopes of de-escalation. We'll continue to update. Now, that would be one thing if you put police in to go through the actual wall for even a period of 10 minutes. That might cause some of the students to leave.
So you had between yesterday, in the last 24 hours, by comparison, this morning at UCLA, it is pretty much a de-escalation, because the two groups, the pro-Israel groups and the pro-Hamas groups, are not clashing this morning like they were yesterday morning at this time. And could the thinking be, look, if we're here on site and we monitor and make sure that the groups are separated, that we know this morning that the pro-Israel group is very small, it's unlikely there would be a clash. And so we'll stand by, we'll monitor, and then we'll reassess later this morning, mid-morning sometime, and see if these students are going to go away. I'm guessing these students are not going to go away. In fact, as you get closer to the weekend, this is only going to grow. These encampments, or this encampment here, is going to just engulf the entire campus. There's not going to be much space left that isn't occupied by these pro-terrorist groups. And I don't know what you do at that point. The longer you wait, the harder it's going to be.
Has the former mayor of Seattle called this the summer of love?
Not yet.
Wow. All right, we'll continue to monitor the situation at UCLA and elsewhere. 866-90-RED-EYE.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
An increase in what livestock producers received price-wise for their commodities in March resulted in a month-over-month rise in the total agricultural price index, per USDA's latest look released earlier this week. The 2.3% rise in the livestock price received index from February was attributed to an over 5% gain in what meat animal producers received as prices for their products. While a slight uptick price-wise occurred for prices received by dairy growers, that was offset by a 0.5% decrease in what poultry and egg producers received for prices in March. The 1.5% month-over-month increase in prices received total also included a lower crop production index, down 1.2% from February. Most categories in the crop production index were down slightly from the previous month, with the exception of vegetables and melons, up 0.1% in March. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So right now at UCLA just seems a standoff. Police did go in through the barricade, stayed a few minutes, don't know exactly how long, and then came back out again.
Yeah.
Students were cheering and everything else, and people trying to figure out what in the world happened there, and now the police are still there. We'll get to more of that coming up, but want to make sure we get to the other news. We never got to the story actually from yesterday. Consumer confidence fell in April for the third straight month and touched a 20-month low due to the high cost of food and gas and fresh worries about the job market. The Consumer Confidence Index sank to 97 this month from a revised 103 in March.
Yeah. And as we predicted, the Fed isn't going to move on interest rates. That's just, look, you can't increase rates. They can't all of a sudden pretend to be serious about inflation right now in the heat of the presidential election season, because you would be admitting, if you're Jerome Powell, the chairman at the Fed, you would be admitting that you've been wrong all along and you haven't been aggressive enough, and that's a problem. And so they're we're going to take the wait and see approach. And the media yesterday. So now many are wondering if there will be a rate decrease at all this year. There's not going to be a rate decrease. Seriously, sober up. Drink some coffee.
Oh, I did see the Wall Street Journal say Powell implied but didn't say yesterday that it appears that inflation is transitory.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, my gosh, no.
No.
And
yeah.
They said, he didn't use the word.
Yeah, he didn't use No,
he didn't.
it's the same nonsense over and over again. If you're going to be serious about inflation and tackling it from the Fed's position, and I don't like the Fed's manipulation to begin with, but this is how it's handled. And if you're going to do it, then you have to do it in a serious way, to the extent that typically it causes a recession. It causes enough of a slowdown. And then, only then, you start seeing that inflation come back down, and then maybe rates could come back down. But we're also and I started thinking about it, because all the stories had, the highest interest rates in what was it, 23 years, whatever it is, and it's basically, I thought to myself, no, it's exactly what you and I have been saying on that. As we also got drunk on the whole 0% interest, the hey, let's borrow money for free kind of idea. And that's over. It's clearly over. And too many people are going, hey, when are we going back to that? Hey, when are we going? That's not going to happen. And I don't see the Feds. I don't see anything that would have the Feds lowering interest rates anytime this year.
On our website, rediradioshow.com. Show info with stations, podcasts, and more. Red Eye Radio.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Download our Red Eye Radio app today and listen when and where you want if you can't listen live overnight. My voice went, if you can't listen. Latest from UCLA, law enforcement agencies in riot gear knocked down the plywood barrier surrounding the anti-Israeli encampment at UCLA and entered the area at around 1:54 a.m. local time. That would be Pacific time, after hours of a tense standoff with hundreds of anti-Israel protesters on campus. Not long after entering the encampment in Dixon Plaza, police appeared to withdraw from the area and now are engaged in another standoff with protesters. Widespread cheers could be heard from the protesters as police regrouped outside the encampment and the plywood barrier was put back up. One person was detained shortly after officers retreated from the encampment, according to the Daily Bruin, the UCLA student newspaper. In case you just tuned in, I mean, overnight you could hear the drills. They were drilling and making the barrier stronger, which just blows our mind. We had a former, a retired LAPD officer call us up and just said, this is just ridiculous. As we have stated, this is making it more dangerous for police, and it's making it more dangerous for everybody here by placating these pro-terrorists. Yeah, and it's just incredible. I don't know why they did what they did. Be interesting to find out what the answer is. Why did they go in, knock down the barrier? Some police officers walked in, stood around for a little while, apparently detained or arrested one person, and then came back out again, and they put it back up. What the purpose of that was, recognizance, that was what one reporter was guessing. We just don't know.
Yeah, and that would make sense if they can't get eyes on it, from the air, which really you might not be able to do clearly at night. It still may not give you during the day a proper picture because you've got so many tents on the campus now inside this encampment. You don't know what's inside the tents. So it could have been reconnaissance where they're looking at this and going, all right, let's assess and see what we're looking at, and we'll regroup here in, later in the morning after daylight hours. They're thinking, all right, there's no clash going on right now, and we can monitor and then move on it later in the day.
This may be it. Anthony Cabasa with more news. UCLA breaking. It's 2:35 a.m., so this would have been
2 minutes ago, yeah.
Okay, yeah, 2 minutes ago. I counted over, it's 2:35 a.m., and buses of heavily armored California Highway Patrol agents have just arrived.
There we go.
I counted over 150 getting off buses headed towards the encampment. So was that the goal, to sit there and say, okay, we need a lot more police officers here?
Right.
And so they came off of buses, and I'm watching the video.
They're just coming off
right now
great
in
numbers
droves.
Here. Yeah.
So it might be, okay, just overwhelm them in numbers. But they are all, from what I can see right now, as they gather in a staging area, it looks like, off the buses, they are all in riot gear as they're lining up.
Well, and it does, by the way, it does make sense. I don't know if this is part of the tactic, but quite often it is that you move on something, you move in a situation where at a time of day when they're going to be the weakest. And it's assumed that, again, between 2:30 and 3 o'clock in the morning, these protesters are going to be pretty tired. I don't know if that's the case, but typically that's what you're going to bet on. And so that's going to give all of these officers here the upper hand. You've got multiple agencies on the campus there at UCLA and have had, and now these buses, thanks to Anthony Cabasa, who's there on site, and these buses now pulling off. You've got the L.A. County Sheriff's Office, CHP, LAPD, multiple agencies now in full force. It is a large number. of officers they seem to be grouping here in one central area, and then I'm sure they're going to get a briefing and then their directives on when to move, and we'll see when that's going to be. But I would expect that if they're coming in now, then it's on.
Well, I got some feedback. Why are they standing down? And you and I have said we don't know if they're standing down, and it appears that's not what is happening now.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that was before this. I got a few messages saying, well, why would they be standing down? I go, we don't know that's the case.
You want to know what those protesters have available to them on the other side of those barriers. What do they have available to them? Look, we can all look at this and we know how radical the protesters are. The question is, how far are they willing to go? You and I have asked that on the air. Well, in law enforcement, you need to know. You're about to physically remove them from the UCLA campus, and you need to know what they have available to them and potentially how dangerous this is going to be for all officers involved and for the protesters, quite frankly. And so you're trying to basically come up with a tactic and a plan to do it in a pretty uniform way and make it happen as smoothly as possible. And I after waiting so long, good luck. I don't know how you do that, but a large number now of officers from multiple agencies, CHP, the L.A. County Sheriff's Department, and also LAPD, are now there on the campus, some just arriving from buses, and we can expect them to move here over the next, I don't know how long it will take. I don't know, if it's going to be 30, 40 minutes, but this isn't something that it appears like they're going to wait all day on. So they're going to move here and keep moving in the direction of clearing that campus. So we'll see. Well,
one of the things that I would want to know if I'm in charge of an operation here, and again, what happened during the day, how much surveillance did you have? But we talk about when you think about this, you heard the power drills going on. Mm-hmm. Well, either they connected them up to an electrical circuit or they were charging batteries, lithium batteries, and they had those drills. But somebody bought the drills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Somebody brought the planks, the barricades, everything that's there had to be brought in.
This is well organized and well funded.
Right. The fact that the college allowed this to happen and to get to this situation right now, which is an extremely dangerous situation, one of the things is the cops may have wanted to go in just to see what kind of weaponry.
Yeah, that was my point. Because, do they have shovels? Do they have, if they had drills, do they have hammers? Do they have, what do you see? And all of those officers that were lined up, once they were able to get through that barricade, could then report back, here's what I noticed. I'm guessing they all have or might have body cams, and you can review body cams. At least you could leadership there, the law enforcement, anyone who's in charge of the huge task force here, the combined agencies can see then through those body cams, if they are equipped with that, exactly what they're looking at. But yeah, you need to know exactly what they have available to them.
And so I'm just reading from Fox. Okay, now law enforcement in standoff. Okay, it's moved even past that because it's not just a standoff. It looks like what they're doing is beefing up the number of law enforcement officers.
They're staging.
They will have it. They're staging officers.
They're staging right now. And at the end of this Anthony Cabasa video, you see him because he did a really good job at following them off the buses and then into one central area, which is clearly a staging area. And that's not the only group. This is just the latest group of law enforcement officials to show up here at UCLA.
And he counted over 150 getting off the 150 plus getting off the buses. So you may have close to an additional 200 officers there. And that's the thing. They may just want, when they do it, They want overwhelming force.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely overpowering, overwhelming force where it is such an intimidating factor that they start moving back.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you want if your goal is to clear the area. Now, we know that some out there may say, but, if they arrest them, well, that's not the goal right now.
It's to clear the campus.
Or to arrest and convict them.
Right.
It's to clear the campus and get them off.
Right.
But the fact is you need to make sure once you do it, this ends it. It doesn't happen again tomorrow.
Right.
Nobody comes back
actually
tomorrow.
clear the campus. You got to, which means you're going to have law enforcement on site for a while to make sure they don't regroup and come back. And so one of the things that was, this goes back 8 or 9 hours, one of the officials was on a megaphone telling them this is unlawful, and there could be law enforcement action and also administrative action taken against you. Well, for those who aren't students there at UCLA, and I have to think there's at least a few, that's not going to, being expelled isn't going to mean anything to them because they're not a student there. But for those that are, you want to make a serious threat, you could be permanently expelled from the campus. Gone. Everything you worked for, over. Go home now, or that's the case. I don't know if that's a motivator enough to get them gone. I'd have to believe it would help.
Okay, looking at it right here, breaking again just a minute ago. CHP riot police have made their way through protesters' blockade, headed straight to encampment, clearing all debris along the way. Protesters warning the encampment folk now.
Yeah.
That's the latest from Anthony Cabasa.
Yeah. All right.
So, and I'm just looking at please excuse me, just looking at some video here. Is they're moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
They're moving in, and they're anything that's in their way, any obstruction, whatever,
right,
they're throwing out of the way as they move forward. I'm not sure where they are going compared to the other law enforcement that is standing in that line in front of the barricade.
Right.
But I mean, they're ready to go. Yep. I mean, you can see right now
they are fully equipped.
Yeah, they're fully equipped right now, and they're ready to go. They're lining up to go in formation right now.
Yep.
So okay, and they're right at the protesters.
This is a long line of 2 to 3 wide of law enforcement officers coming in.
Well, now they're confronting. They're right there at the protesters, not at the barricades, but at the protesters. And I mean, they're right there. They're within 5 feet of them, and the protesters are all standing right there, and they're ready to go. I don't know what happens after this, but they're ready to go. And it's 10-15 across right now in like what is viewed. It's some kind of, it looks like a pretty wide alleyway that they're in.
Yeah, they've come up some stairs.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're on a.
You're a couple of seconds behind me, I think, in the video. Then.
Yeah, I'm kind of jumping around on the video actually.
Okay.
And so they've come up some stairs, and it looks like to be some kind of outdoor deck, but it is a large group of officers there, and they are clearly equipped and appear to be moving right now. Is this going to be another standoff like we saw earlier? And they retreat? We don't know. But they made a serious move with a large number of officers here, and I don't see much that's going to get in their way.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Reading this from Bill Maluzhin from Fox News a couple minutes UCLA potentially about to escalate. And from the video we have seen here, in the last couple of minutes. It absolutely
It's
is.
all coming together.
Yeah, getting multiple texts from local law enforcement contacts, all essentially saying some version of "we're going in."
Yep. And you're seeing, again, I think from multiple angles, and that would be the idea, is that you come up with a plan where you have you use all your resources to come in as quickly as possible and safely as possible to overwhelm these protesters. And the video from Anthony Cabasa from about 11 minutes ago, these officers coming in and standing in front of now these other students that are there. These students don't have a barricade. They're really not holding anything. So this part of it may go a little easier for these officers. I guess we'll see. And we'll be following this story at UCLA throughout the day.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.